Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Sneak Attack, an original Dungeons & Dragons adventure. I'm Reed, your host and DM for this event, and across the table from me we have...
Joshua. I play Graic, the dwarven fighter.
Why didn't you say his name in an accent?
Well, because this isn't one of our adventures, and so I feel like I need to maintain myself. Look, Graic, if you want to listen to Graic, go to one of our adventure episodes. But Graic's not going to come out. This is Josh time, all right? Me and Greg, we got to have boundaries. That's important. This podcast will also be about boundaries between you and your character. We're gonna call it Dungeons and Dragons counseling.
No, okay. I think that's a separate episode that you're doing by yourself with no one else.
Well, speaking as my wife,
this is Kelsey, and I play Brenna, the forever critic of Graic and Josh.
Yep.
All right, and joining us is a voice you may have heard throughout the podcast.
If you're really listening.
If you're really paying attention. But my wife, Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
She's joining us as well. She's kind of going to act as our control group, because this episode isn't a regular episode. Here we're actually going to kind of address some things specifically for those of you who may not know much about Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah.
And my wife, Tiffany, knows next to nothing about Dungeons & Dragons.
It's perfect.
Yeah, she listens to all of our episodes. She's there when we record, but she's never played. She doesn't know the rules. She doesn't know any of the weird nomenclature, names, or anything that we kind of throw around all willy-nilly without even giving it a second thought.
Yeah.
So I figure what better person to have here with us than someone who can kind of call us out and be like, hey, you're skipping over this.
That makes absolutely no sense to me as someone who doesn't know the lingo.
Yeah. She keeps us grounded in the real world.
Can I say something?
No.
I feel like I want to refute a stigma and a schema, for those of you who understand what that is, with D&D players. Is every single person on our podcast is happily married.
True.
Several of them with children. We all have full-time jobs, work in all kinds of different environments. I think there's kind of this view of what a Dungeons and Dragons, someone who partakes of that community looks like, acts like, and even though most of them do look like me, big and with a beard.
Yep.
But I'm the only person on our podcast that really fits that.
And he's still married.
So perfectly. Yeah.
To
I'm still married.
Really attractive person.
Smoking hot. That's why I let her talk to me the way she does in our podcast. She can get away with it. With that body. And I'm just kidding. No, step back. Oh my goodness. I'll be gone for a little while. This is
Go sit in timeout, please.
It's a good thing that I edit these.
That's true. That's true.
Gosh.
But to start off, Dungeons & Dragons originated the creator was named Gary Gygax, and he just wanted a way for people to kind of be not themselves.
Yeah.
It was just a way for people to kind of take on a different role and play as a different person, and that's where the term role-playing game came from. And so if you hear people say, call Dungeons & Dragons a role-playing game, that literally means you're assuming the role of someone else. The origin of that is founded on these three pillars of adventure, and that's exploration, social interaction, and combat. And you'll see a lot of that, hopefully within a good, healthy ratio within the games that we play. Obviously, I've created a complex world with lots of different places to go, which will give them a lot to explore. The social interaction comes from going to different towns, meeting different people, and the combat, which is what I think everyone is most.
And I think the social interaction at the table as well.
That's absolutely
all of us as players hanging out. I mean,
Pretending we're friends.
People who've played D&D since the 70s when it was first created, those are the friends for life type people, because they've there's just something about this medium, I think, that kind of forges bonds that last a lot longer than just high school friendships do.
It's shared experiences. It's we're having fun, and a lot of times we'll break away from the game and talk about things that we're interested in for an hour before we even go back to playing sometimes. Very communal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's there's nothing set in stone so much that you can't bend it a little and just make it your own. And that's, I think, the beauty of D&D. No other game, no other...
Yeah.
You won't see that in a movie. You can't get that in a video game because there's no way you could craft a world as diverse and interesting enough and procedurally generated enough that would kind of even mimic what's possible in D&D.
Absolutely.
The players create the game.
Yeah.
Which is something that just no other, piece of entertainment offers. Jumping right in, I know within the first couple episodes, you're going to hear stuff like, oh, make a strength check, what's initiative, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Roll 13.
Right. And you're like, what do those numbers, what do those
Natty
terms?
20. What
Natty
does that
20.
mean?
Why are you so excited about a
Yeah.
natty 20? It sounds
That's
dumb.
what I want to know. I'm really excited to learn what natty 20 means.
Okay.
Natty
We'll,
20.
we'll get into all that. To start, especially to start combat, we'll ask everyone to roll initiative, and what that means is we're trying to determine the order in which everyone acts in combat. Initiative is a system that it's like how prepared you were for this battle. That is based off a dice roll, and most every dice roll or statistic in this game revolves around rolling a 20-sided dice.
Yep.
We call that a D20. D stands for dice, and then the number is how many sides. So
There's 7 different kinds of those dice used for different reasons.
various different things, yeah. Most everything, if you're trying to perform an ability or see how successful you are at like persuading someone, or if you want to pickpocket someone without being noticed, all of those things happen after you roll a 20-sided dice and add all of your specific character modifiers. And so you think, well, what are some of those modifiers? All those break down by what type of class you are and what different skills you have. Brenna, for example, Brenna is a bard, which means that most of what she does surrounds her ability to persuade people or use her voice or perform in some way.
Which is why I don't want Greg to ever talk, because he's not proficient in that area, whereas my character's designed to be like that.
Correct.
She's very charismatic.
Correct. And characters are broken down into 6 ability attributes. And so you have strength, which is obviously a character's ability to carry heavy things, swing a hammer really hard.
It's Greg's good at that.
Bust open a door. Yeah, that's kind of Greg's specialty.
It's the meat
Yeah.
shield.
Yep. And then we have dexterity, which is kind of a character's nimbleness or ability to manipulate very like small objects or in a very precise manner. That would be like an archer or someone who
Includes your speed, I think.
Yep, someone who's very quick on their feet, that type of thing. And then we have constitution, which is how much like punishment a character can take, kind
How
of.
sturdy you are.
Yeah, constitution directly influences how many hit points you have, and hit points are how much life your character has. So during combat, like if an orc busts out of a cabin and starts attacking Greg, he'll attack his hit points. So if he hits him with an axe, Greg will take X amount of damage, and that will come off of his hit point total. And Constitution and what level you are determines how many hit points you have.
So that's the other half of the meat shield.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever played a game like Skyrim or like Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
like these are all based like honestly, any game, most video games that exist right now where you play a role somehow got its inspiration, the core of it from D&D. It kind of started that whole chain of
It's
gaming.
true. Yep.
So if you've played Skyrim or games like that, this is a lot easier to understand in that context.
Yeah.
Of having a health bar and
Yes, it's really funny. Pretty much all modern day fantasy or like the Elder Scrolls series, Dragon Age, those type of video games and stuff like that, they all owe their entire lineage to 2 people.
yep.
Gary Gygax and
Tolkien.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yep.
Tolkien created like this standard for how an elf behaves, what a halfling or a hobbit does,
Which greatly influenced Gygax's
exactly. Yeah,
creation of
he
the first
took he
D&D.
took all of those kind of character traits that Tolkien created and almost made standard, and he turned that into people that we as humans, as players, could kind of become. And so that's why Greg, as a dwarf, he has these attributes of honor and loyalty,
even his accent.
yeah, exactly. His accent, the way he talks, comes directly from Tolkien. Every video game that uses hit points or dice rolls in the background like that, they all come from D&D.
All that math is
Yep.
Gary Gygax's brain at work.
Yeah, which is really, a testament to how well this system has aged over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so after Constitution, what do we have?
Next, after Constitution, you've got your intelligence. These are the areas where Greg is not so great.
Yes.
But these are areas where I think Brenna and Akio especially are.
Akio, as a wizard, wizards are very intelligence driven because they have to study and focus so intently on all the spells they want to cast that it requires a great deal of memorization and learning techniques.
Like that's like very much Gandalf. Like he goes to the library. He's got to research all that stuff. Like wizards are the guys who are reading books, and they're not street smart, but they're incredibly book smart.
Yep, they strive for just as much knowledge as they can possibly take in.
And that's typical intelligence.
Yep, and then after that we have wisdom, and wisdom is actually what Sherwood that is his main attribute.
Yes.
And wisdom is more of the street smart. It's knowing like, hey, I should probably avoid this berry because it just here's some signs and how I know that it might be dangerous. And that's just something that, if you go into a forest, no amount of intelligence will let you know that. It's just experience, yeah. Wisdom is, as Sherwood, who is a druid, that is his main attribute. And then
that's also where wisdom's also where a lot of your like any willpower or mental fortitude usually comes out of your wisdom.
And the last is charisma, which is Brenna's specialty.
Woo!
-1 for Greg. My modifier is a negative.
Why I yell at you for talking so much.
So, but I think that character, you yell at Greg. I want to make sure everyone understands.
I keep forgetting that you're not Greg.
I am not Greg. Okay, maybe Josh would have done something different in that scenario. But Greg definitely would have done what he did.
Some of the other things you said were like strength check.
Yep.
That's all working with the dice.
Correct. And those are all based off your abilities, the strength, dexterity, wisdom, charisma, intelligence, blah, 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 all that stuff. Those are called your abilities.
Skill checks.
Yes. So in the first episode, Brenna tried to free Sonia Ignata from the bear trap.
Thanks for bringing that up again.
Yep.
Hey, you're not that strength driven.
I know.
So, so she rolled her D20 and added her strength score, and that's just the amount of points when she made her character put into her strength attribute. But since she's a bard, that's not the most important thing in the world to her.
Okay, so we're kind of jumping into this. Can we break it down real quick? Like explain to the audience and to Tiffany as well how it works in regards to the players and the dungeon master.
Yeah. So the players, they come in and they occupy a character. Like you said, Greg, Akio, sure. Yep. Yeah. That's all established. But they come into the world which I have created, and they interact in such a way that, I really try to not bait them along.
Yeah. Railroad it.
Yeah. As much as possible. I try and give the group as much creative freedom as possible.
Which is awesome.
But you've gone ahead and made an entire world for us. So like like if you had to describe a DM, like even outside yourself, like how would you describe it? Like a lead storyteller or like a
a dungeon master above all else is just the kind of like they are the authority on the rules.
Yeah.
That's really it. Because there are some games of Dungeons and Dragons where the DM just sits back and does hardly anything.
Right.
He just says, he'll act as the non-playable characters. We call them NPCs for short. Which
characters in the world.
Yeah, just the players.
Owner,
the players can interact with them.
Monster.
Someone needs to speak for them, and that falls on the role of the dungeon master. But more than anything, they just need to you can try that, you can make that attempt, or no, that's not possible. Actually, one of Akio is famous for trying to break the rules for his advantage, and he wants to go back in time or stop time. Like, no, that's not something that's not something you as a level 1 wizard can do.
Right.
And so, but really that's it. The DM can get a lot more involved. I took it upon myself to create a full world with a backstory and lore and everything like that.
Awesome.
But you don't have to do that.
But you don't have to do
right.
that. No, Wizards, again, provides materials for dungeon masters.
And if you're trying it for the first time, like I'm a dungeon master as well for several other games, and I think both of us would highly encourage, start with a pre-made module.
Yeah.
Yes, it is really easy to get in over your own head.
Yep.
Playing Dungeons and Dragons as a dungeon master, and then trying to do everything from scratch the first time you play. It's
a lot of late nights.
It's a lot of late nights and just a lot of you can't predict everything your players will throw at you, no matter how hard you try, and it makes you want to pull your hair out sometimes.
Yeah.
But
go the other way.
That's also the part of the appeal of D&D.
Exactly. It's just the stuff that no one could have planned.
Yeah.
There's an episode coming up just this Friday. When you listen to this, it'll be the next episode to release. That there's nothing in the world I could have done to plan for what Sherwood did.
Oh yeah.
But he did it, and we just rolled with it, and it ended up working out really well. And I think that's one of the most memorable.
Plays a really cool part in the story.
Yeah,
too,
it's one of the most memorable things we have from any of the episodes we've recorded so far. And it's just stuff like that you can't replicate. That's really, really cool about this game.
And I'd like to say you do this really well as a dungeon master, but and this is partially probably like a personal, conviction for me as a DM, but I also think it's our job to create a game that's fun for the players.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think there's some DMs out there that kind of see themselves as like an overlord
Yeah.
or like a vindictive god, and their
Yeah.
goal is to find out a way to kill every character who's come to play.
Yeah.
But for me, I think for the sake of having a fun story, like I know for a fact that in your games, there's always the possibility that our characters could end up killing themselves.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
true.
And in one game we recorded already, there's a chance that might have happened. But like you first and foremost have created a world that's fun and that we're going to enjoy, and that you're making it in
Yeah.
a way that we're going to step in and have fun. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Or
Hummus
enjoy the
Among
experience.
Us.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
And if the dungeon master doesn't bound that world in rules and logic, then the choices the players make are worthless.
Right.
Like I need to tell Akio that if this happens, you might die, just so he knows that like I'm not just going to mess around with him. Like
Right.
if in the real world you walk up to someone and start like goofing around and like slapping them in the face, be prepared to get punched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can't start a village on fire without ramifications.
Exactly. And
You're
so
our moral compass.
yes, the DMs are the rules police and the moral compass of the world. But more on into like the specifics of how the gameplay works. So
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to know a little bit more about the dice.
yeah,
and
so
how that
you might
works.
hear terms tossed around as well, like hit dice or damage dice or attack rolls and stuff like
Or
that.
the word DC.
Yes,
check.
Yeah, that comes up a ton.
yeah. So going with the dice, like we have the attack rolls. That's pretty much the primary part of combat.
Yep.
Someone gets in there, say Greg is gonna go fight.
Use my hammer.
Yeah, Greg's gonna charge up to someone and try and swing his
Always
hammer
the
at him.
hammer, great.
Shocker.
Yeah.
And what Greg has to do is roll that 20-sided dice and add all of his different bonuses and modifiers on top of the result that is rolled to see how successful he is at actually damaging this other player or this other person.
Right.
And what he's actually rolling against is something called an armor class.
Yes.
And an armor class is determined by like how much armor a player is wearing, and or if he's not wearing armor, how quick he is to jump out of the way.
Right.
That's tied directly to your dexterity. Remember your nimbleness and
Your
quickness on your feet.
dexterity with how quick you are at getting away, and your strength with how like well armored you are.
Correct.
How, or whether you're an animal with a hard shell or something.
Yep, because you're not always fighting humans with armor. You're sometimes fighting creatures and beasts and all kinds of weirdo stuff.
So that's the dice you roll first.
Yeah,
First roll
For the attack.
D20 is always the first dice you roll.
Okay.
in combat. Yep, that's always the first thing you roll to see just how successful you are at the attack. Like Greg will throw his light hammer a lot.
Yes.
And so that determines how accurate the throw was, and
Okay.
if it hit a part on the player that could be injured. So like if he's fighting someone with heavy plate mail, the hammer may hit him, but it's not going to deal any damage because the plate mail did its job and absorbed that armor.
Yeah.
And the DM has all of that information, like the
Yep.
enemy's attack and plate armor
Yep.
and whether or
The
not
player's goal is just to make the move, and the dungeon master's goal is to like kind of inform him whether or not it was successful,
Yep.
or to explain in flavor how that circumstances played itself out.
Right. See, and a big struggle I have as a dungeon master is trying to create a mental picture for everyone and our listeners as to what combat looks like, because it's very easy for me just to like
Turns into a math.
be a number police.
Yeah,
Be like, nope, 16 smaller than 18, so you don't hit, and then move on.
Right.
Like, but we need like this whole point of this adventure, this whole point of this story is to like get you guys engaged and tell this story in a way that is fun for you guys to listen to.
Absolutely.
And so if I don't explain, like, Greg charges towards the Minotaur, dragging his hammer along the ground, creating a cloud of dust behind him as he swings upward towards the jaw, like.
Wow.
That's got to happen now.
That's
It's really
poetic.
Can that
it's
please
really
happen?
cool, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What was he going towards?
The
a
Minotaur.
Minotaur, which
Can
is
we save that for
a
like?
half bull, half man.
Let's save that
Terror.
for a while. We're not
like,
ready for that.
But in your head, in all of your heads, you pictured what that looked like.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so much more engaging than just saying 16 is smaller than
Nope,
18.
you missed.
Yeah.
Also, during that scene,
miss.
Greg was smiling.
Like Battleship.
As he-
This
as
isn't
he-
Battleship.
with one of those like angry eyebrows, but a big grin on his bearded face.
Yeah.
As he kind of moved towards the
And that's
Minotaur.
and that's all that we as players and DMs can do for you guys is try and create a situation and a story that is both fun to listen to and just draws you into it.
Yeah.
We want these players and characters to be fun for you guys, and we really do our best to make sure that they're fun to listen to.
Yeah.
Okay, so Greg charged the Minotaur. He's made his attack. it is successful, we'll say.
Yes.
Of course it is.
He rolled
I
high.
was 17.
He rolled high enough to break through the armor of whatever creature he is attacking and deal it physical pain.
So that's
Yes.
the D20.
That was the D20 is
And
the
then-
attack roll.
Okay, and then what does he roll next? It was a success.
Those
so,
are the next dice he rolls are called damage dice, and
Okay.
the damage dice he roll is based on the type of weapon you are using.
okay, and it's always the
Not always.
triangular dice.
For that,
or-
there's about 5 different dice you're
Oh,
going to use.
okay.
Yep.
We have.
Sorry.
We'll just go
No.
through.
There's a
The-
D4, which is the triangle dice.
Looks kind of like a pyramid. Yep.
Yeah, probably the worst dice. It doesn't actually roll at all.
No.
No.
You kind of throw it
Yeah.
and then it
Flops.
just
It
flops.
doesn't look like it
But then there's the
rolls very
dice
well.
that everybody's familiar with.
Yep. It's called the D6.
That's what you roll in Monopoly.
That is.
Looks
Yep.
like the box.
It's a 6-sided. It's a cube. It's a 6-sided
Mm-hmm.
dice. Everyone in the world is familiar with these dice.
Unless
But
you've
again,
never seen dice before.
yeah, they're called that. And
But I highly
remember,
doubt
the D stands for dice, and the 6 or the number
amount
after
of
that
sides.
is the amount of sides it has. So after that is a D8,
Yep, which looks like a diamond, like a little
Yep.
perfect diamond.
and that has 8 sides, and that will be a lot of like one-handed weapons.
Yep.
You know, Brenna's rapier is a D8.
How do you know which weapons to roll?
Yield which.
Yes.
Well, you know which weapons to roll based on what equipment your character took when you were making him.
Okay.
So
and
when I
then-
created Grayek, I chose to wield a light hammer, a war hammer, and then a maul, a big hammer.
and they all have the dice that you're
The
supposed
dice-
to roll.
In the player's handbook, they got all
Okay.
that laid out.
okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
But if you played enough, you start to get a kind of a feel for what dice goes for kind of
Yeah,
what
because
weapons.
like there are things called like improvised weapons too, or like Sherwood could pick up a kind of a tree branch and beat someone over the head with it. Well, there's
my rock, my loaf of bread.
Yeah.
yes, the loaf of bread. I
Yeast.
just kind of
Yes.
kind of improvised that one. You know, I know about how much damage getting hit with like a 20-pound rock would do to me, so I was just like, I can probably equate that to a D8. I think is what I made it.
From experience.
Well,
how many rocks get thrown at you, Reed?
more than you'd think.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
20-pound rocks?
I wouldn't throw a
Wow.
rock at you because you're just so much bigger than me.
that's
You could
true.
just
That's
take me out.
probably
I
smart.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
That after that damage dice has been rolled, then the character or the player takes the damage, subtracts it from their total hit points, and then the next person in the round goes, or they finish their turn
Okay.
out. The next person in the initiative order goes, and then we just continue through combat like that.
So that's why you have to roll initiative at the beginning. 'cause
Right.
You need to know who's gonna go.
Correct. That determines the order in which everyone goes throughout combat.
Now, do you roll initiative, and then that's how it is through the whole time that you're playing?
No, every encounter
Or-
is different.
So
Okay.
an encounter is the moment when the first moment after you start fighting this specific enemy until these specific enemies or this specific one is then defeated or until you all are defeated. So those are just called little encounters.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, those are isolated fights. You know, typically one off.
Yeah, and the initiative order will exist specifically just for that encounter.
And then
It'll
you have to
change
roll them again
every encounter.
If you okay,
Yep, because the situation may vary. Like you may get ambushed, like walking through the forest when the Pineapple Gang shot an arrow through at you guys. That was a surprise encounter, so they actually got the jump on you guys. Or you may be tracking a pack of bandits.
And we could get the jump on them.
And yeah, you could kind of like peer over a ridge and see them camped out and stealthily make your way up, and all of you attack suddenly on them, and all of you get like a surprise round on them, which means that they would get to operate like outside of initiative because they had no chance to defend themselves yet. But then once that's done, then everyone would roll the initiatives again, and then we'd get a full combat order.
yeah.
And if there's anything we miss in this like little mini cast, please tweet us.
Yeah.
or give us a comment. Like shoot us a comment about something you're like, oh, could you please explain this more? Could you go more into detail on this?
Yeah, this is not the only type of like fireside chat thing we'll be doing. The plan is for after this one to do kind of like a history of the world. And
Yes.
also like a character backstory for people.
Yep.
For each of our characters.
Yeah, just so you as listeners kind of have a greater sense of motivation as to what these players like Greg and Brenna and
Learn some
Akia-
of our backstory.
Yeah.
What's motivating us?
Yep.
And why is Greg's Great Mall mean so much to him? And what
No one
what
cares
was
about
Akio
that.
talking about when he said like his school back at Dark Magic?
Why
Like,
do
Yeah.
you like noodles so much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So learn some. I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah,
I think the real question is, what is Sherwood?
Yes.
all right. So That's really just like a taste at how Dungeons and Dragons works. I mean, there's a lot more finer nuances and stuff like that. But I mean, for just those of you or passively listening at home who may not be familiar, we hope that this really like answers a little questions.
Yeah.
Eliminates some of that confusion. We understand that. We've kind of surrounded ourselves with it for the last couple of years, and so this comes very second nature to us and didn't even consider, like, hey, there might be a whole audience of people who have no idea what we're talking about and would like to.
Yeah.
And so we just hope that this answered those questions. If there was anything we missed, please let us know on Twitter. It's at Sneak Podcast. All one word. Just drop us a line, be like, hey, you kind of briefly touched on this or didn't touch on this at all. And we're like I said, we're going to do more of these, and we really do read all of the stuff we get on Twitter, and we appreciate any comments and feedback we get. So this has been fun. I think we're going to do a few more of these just to kind of get everything, get the history of the world ironed out, and just to kind of give you guys a little more in-depth look at how everything works within the world of Brannis and within the story that I've created for you. And yeah, so my name's Reed. I'm the host and DM of this adventure. And
Josh, who plays Greg.
Kelsey, who plays Brenna.
Tiffany, who's Reed's wife.
Roll for it.
So thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon. Thanks.